Imagine living in a house where speaking your mind could get you in trouble, where the person you trust the most is secretly reporting everything to the one in charge, and every moment of honesty could be used against you. Today, we're diving deep into the shocking truth behind Cody Brown's marriages and the toxic control that left his wives walking on eggshells. If you want to uncover all the secrets and see the real story, hit that subscribe button now and join the squad, because you do not want to miss a single revelation. Christine getting in trouble sounds almost harmless when you first hear it, like something said casually without weight. But the more you sit with it, the more disturbing it becomes, because grown women do not get in trouble in healthy marriages. And yet that phrase keeps resurfacing again and again, like an echo nobody can escape. And once you start paying attention, you realize this was never about normal conflict or everyday disagreements. This was about control, fear, and a power structure that slowly trained women to behave instead of speak. A spouse is supposed to be your equal, your partner, your teammate, someone who stands beside you, not beneath you, not someone you fear disappointing, not someone who has the authority to emotionally punish you for honesty. But in Cody's world, obedience became the currency that bought peace and affection. And once that dynamic was locked in, everything else began to rot. Communication, trust, intimacy, safety, all of it. Because when a woman says she is afraid of getting in trouble, what she is really saying is she knows there will be consequences. And those consequences are rarely loud or obvious. They show up quietly through emotional withdrawal, through silence, through rejection, through being pushed aside. And the terrifying part is that this system did not operate randomly. It was designed. Cody openly praised the idea of patriarchy. He wanted to be the unquestioned leader, the final authority, the head of household. And he rewarded behavior that supported that illusion and punished anything that challenged it. And that is how the line between spouse and child did not just blur, it disappeared entirely. Wives were no longer partners. They became dependent, expected to follow rules, regulate their emotions, and seek approval. And the moment that illusion cracked, the consequences followed. Christine believed she was confiding in a friend. She believed she was sharing her heart in a safe space. She believed that vulnerability would bring understanding. Instead, it brought punishment. Because what she did not realize at first was that every private conversation was being passed along, filtered, reframed, and delivered directly to the one person who held power over her. And suddenly, her honesty became evidence against her. Her feelings became complaints. Her pain became disrespect. And that realization alone is enough to make anyone shut down. Because when your confidant becomes an informant, you learn very quickly that silence is safer than truth. And this pattern did not stop with Christine. Mary's experience confirms it was systemic. During one of the darkest periods of her life, when she was isolated, humiliated, and emotionally shattered, she reached out for support, believing she had found someone who would listen and protect her. Instead, that vulnerability was repackaged and used to reinforce a narrative that had already been decided. Because once Cody heard Robyn's version, his mind was made up. There was no room for nuance, no curiosity, no compassion. And that is the most damaging part of triangulation. It removes your voice entirely, because by the time you speak, the verdict is already in. And this creates a psychological trap where honesty becomes dangerous and self-expression becomes a liability. And slowly, without realizing it, you start editing yourself, watching every word, suppressing every emotion, and living in a constant state of anxiety, wondering what will be used against you next. And when two women, years apart, describe the exact same experience with the same fear, the same language, and the same outcome, it stops being coincidence and starts being confirmation. This was not miscommunication. This was conditioning, a system that rewarded obedience and punished independence. And the tension only escalates when these claims are finally confronted head-on. Because instead of reflection, instead of curiosity, instead of accountability, there is rage, deflection, and denial. Because challenges to authority feel like rebellion to someone who believes control equals respect. And in that reaction, everything becomes clear. The shouting, the invalidation, the refusal to listen. Because this was never about misunderstanding, it was about preserving power. And the moment that power was threatened, the mask slipped. And what is revealed underneath is not a husband struggling with complex relationships, but a ruler enforcing order. And that realization changes everything, because once you see the structure, you cannot unsee it. And what comes next only exposes it even further.
And when you realize just how methodical this system was, it becomes even more chilling, because Cody did not leave anything to chance. He designed a hierarchy that guaranteed control, a structure where wives were never equals, where voices were filtered, and where obedience was demanded above everything else. And Robyn was positioned perfectly in that structure as the intermediary, the translator, the one who decided which words would reach him. And in doing so, she became both shield and sword, both enforcer and accomplice, because whatever intentions she may have claimed she had, it was impossible to deny that her actions reinforced the power dynamic and isolated Christine and Mary even further from any source of support or validation. And once you understand that, you realize that every decision, every action, every private conversation in that household was potentially a weapon in someone else's hands. And that knowledge changes the way you watch everything that happened on screen and off. Because when Christine thought she was venting about frustrations, when Mary thought she was seeking comfort, it was not just conversation, it was data, it was evidence, it was a mechanism of control. And the psychological impact of living in that environment is staggering. Imagine constantly measuring every word, weighing every thought, suppressing genuine emotion, filtering yourself in every interaction just to avoid conflict, to avoid punishment, to avoid disappointment from someone whose love is conditional and whose power is absolute. And now multiply that by 4 wives, multiply that by years of repetition, multiply that by a culture that normalizes secrecy, manipulation, and triangulation, and you begin to see the full scope of what was happening behind closed doors. And the fear that Christine and Mary describe is not irrational, it is not dramatized, it is not exaggeration, it is the logical response to an environment designed to control and dominate. And the way Cody reacts to being confronted about it only solidifies the pattern, because instead of introspection, instead of empathy, instead of accountability, there is immediate dismissal, there is accusation, there is deflection, there is anger. And by framing the complaints as attacks or by scapegoating Robyn, he maintains the hierarchy, he protects the system, he ensures that the rules are clear, obedience is rewarded, resistance is punished, and the women learn that the cost of honesty is high, the cost of authenticity is high, the cost of expressing human emotion is high. And the lessons they internalize are terrifying, because they are no longer learning how to navigate marriage, they are learning how to survive a household ruled by fear and manipulation. And this is why the stories Christine and Mary tell are so important, because they reveal a pattern, a methodology, a system of psychological control that goes far beyond what casual viewers may have assumed or been entertained by on television. Because this was not reality TV drama alone, this was a living laboratory in control. And once you begin to examine the evidence, the triangulation, the punishment, the isolation, the constant fear, it becomes impossible to separate spectacle from strategy, to separate what was designed from what was accidental. And that is where the suspense lies, because at any moment, a candid thought, a private word, a genuine feeling could be weaponized against you. And in that environment, relationships are not partnerships, they are exercises in obedience. And trust is not earned, it is forbidden, because the very act of trusting opens you to betrayal, and the emotional toll is exhausting. Imagine living your life constantly second-guessing yourself, constantly questioning every interaction, every motive, constantly wondering who is being honest and who is not. And the irony is that the person you think is your ally may be the one who delivers the blows, the one who ensures your compliance.
And when you stack Christine and Mary's experiences together, you see the symmetry, the repeated patterns, the systematic approach to control. And suddenly, what once seemed like isolated incidents become undeniable proof that this was a toxic structure, a pyramid of fear and obedience, a household where women were taught to act like children, to be managed, to be controlled, to exist under the shadow of someone else's authority. And the loops do not end there, because every time Christine or Mary tried to confront the truth, every time they attempted to express themselves, Cody's reaction reinforced the cycle, invalidating their feelings, shutting them down, punishing them for independence. And in doing so, he ensured the system would perpetuate itself, because fear is the strongest motivator. And once fear governs behavior, you do not need rules, you do not need laws, you do not need negotiation, you only need hierarchy. And that is precisely what Christine and Mary were trapped in, a household where honesty equals danger, authenticity equals punishment, and compliance equals safety. And as viewers watching this unfold, the suspense builds, because every revelation, every confession, every bombshell is layered upon years of manipulation. And yet, despite the severity of what they endured, the pattern was designed to appear normal to outsiders, to appear as everyday family life, to mask control as care and obedience as love. And when you finally pull back the curtain, the truth is shocking, it is uncomfortable, it is gripping, because you realize that every argument, every misunderstanding, every conflict depicted on screen was a microcosm of a larger systemic problem, a structure designed to control, limit freedom, isolate women, manipulate perception, and punish independence. And the more you think about it, the more you understand that this was never about one wife misbehaving or one conversation going wrong. It was about meticulously crafted environment where the boundaries between spouse and child were obliterated, where vulnerability became weaponized, where trust was impossible, and where survival required constant vigilance. And in that realization, the suspense intensifies, because you're left to wonder how long Christine and Mary lived like this. How many more voices were silenced? How many more feelings suppressed? How many more years were governed by fear? How many more moments of honesty were converted into leverage against them? And by the end of it, you are not just watching a story unfold, you are witnessing the anatomy of control, a living demonstration of manipulation, power, and human resilience. And it is at that point that every revelation, every detail, every confession is not just drama, it is evidence. And the tension is relentless, because you know that the moment one misstep occurs, the consequences follow. And so you watch, you listen, you lean in. You cannot look away, because the next word, the next confession, the next twist might reveal an even deeper layer of this toxic structure, a layer that exposes the mechanics of control, the psychology of fear, and the human costs of a household where power reigns supreme. And once you understand that every whispered complaint, every private frustration, every vulnerable admission carries the weight of potential punishment, you realize that this is not entertainment. This is an extraordinary glimpse into the complexities of authority, fear, obedience, manipulation, and ultimately the resilience of those who dared to speak their truth in a household that demanded silence. So there you have it. The shocking truth behind Cody Brown's marriages, the manipulation, the fear, and the control that left his wives constantly walking on eggshells. Christine and Mary finally spoke up and exposed what it was really like living under this toxic system. And if you want to stay on top of every jaw-dropping revelation and never miss the inside story, hit that subscribe button now and join the squad, because the real tea is just getting started. And trust me, you do not want to miss a single detail.